Welcome to Streaming Into the Void, where we discuss the streaming news for the week ending May 10th, 2026. I'm Kim Hollis, digital marketing expert, who is currently on a metric ton of antibiotics.
Oh,
no. With me is Tim Brighty, content creator and gamer, missing 1 pint of blood.
Oh, God, where'd it go?
Oh, no.
No, actually, while it was actually platelets, I donated this morning, and blood donation is actually a cause I feel pretty strongly about, so I kind of wish I'd started it when I was younger. If you're able to, I encourage you to donate when you can. There are only positives for everyone involved.
Also, David Mumpower, author of Behind the Ride and streaming media analyst, giving thanks to Bobby Cox for all the entertainment and leadership tutelage. And the podcast is produced and edited by Raul Buriel, who's still watching hockey in May. Hey, so am I.
Yeah, I'd watch it year round, but right now it matters.
Is there at least one Canadian team still involved?
Yes, there is.
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay.
This week, it's earnings time, so buckle up for some numbers. First up is Disney, who beat estimates. So let's hear it, David. How did this good news negatively impact the company's stock price?
Well, that is how Wall Street works as a rule. We've got a surprise this week. Disney beat its earning estimates for entertainment, sports, and experiences. Its three cores, somewhere between 2% and 10%. Overall, the company's revenue improved 7% year over year, and the report was so good that even Wall Street was like, yeah, all right, we'll buy some. So the stock went up $7 in 2 days, which is 7%. So really, nothing but good news here, so much so that even Wall Street couldn't ding Disney, which never happens.
Yeah, it sounds like new CEO Josh D'Amaro said things that the analysts like. David, what's he been promising?
It was actually kind of funny. When he posted the earnings report, he also threw in kind of a mission statement where he listed all the new pillars for the company, and he showed 3 of them. And then an hour and a half later, he went on the earnings call and he listed 4 pillars, and they weren't actually the same. So we have somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 to 7 new Disney pillars, and he snuck in that one of them is AI. Don't tell anyone off Wall Street. Just Wall Street wants to hear AI. But as far as Hollywood is concerned, they're not ready to commit to AI yet. D'Amaro kept talking about digital. He kept describing Disney as a digital company, and that was pretty much the Bob Chapek playbook. At one point, Bob Chapek had Disney stock around $200 for a while before everyone realized he was a charlatan who didn't really have a plan. He just knew what Wall Street wanted to hear. D'Amaro was actually promoted by Chapek and is also a protege of Bob Iger. He seems to have learned the right things from both of them. So he had a very clever Q&A session where he took questions from people like Rich Greenfield, who are generally not that flattering about Disney, and he addressed everything head on. And one of the points he made was he is going to make this one Disney from now on, and that is he considers the Disney Plus app to be the hub for everything Disney does moving forward, and I'm including buying a Disney cruise, buying theme park tickets, watching movies, or yes, watching vertical streaming stuff like TikTok has. So we're moving into this era of one Disney where everything in the Disney flywheel should ostensibly connect. I have major questions about how that's going to work. I was joking to Kim earlier that I don't think you want a National Geographic collaboration with Zootopia, at least not if you're attached to any of the Zootopia characters and have ever seen a nature film. So we're going to see whether or not all of these pieces fit together, but he clearly has a vision, and you can see what his pitch was to the board of directors that got this job, and that was, we're going to cut corners by using AI. We're going to save money that way to make our productions cheaper, and I don't care if Hollywood rages against it. This is where we're all heading, and along the way, as a digital company, Disney is going to make loads of money.
Meanwhile, Warner Brothers Discovery missed estimates, but you can all relax because David Zaslav's pay tripled last year.
Yeah, David Zaslav's pay was actually dependent on some metrics based on the company splitting up into its studios and streaming and then everything else division. And despite the fact that the company is no longer splitting up, if you've listened to this podcast at all, you'll all recall, Paramount Skydance is buying Warner Brothers Discovery whole instead. Nonetheless, those metrics still triggered, and David Zaslav was paid over $100 million last year. So good for him. But in the last quarter, WBD lost $2.9 billion But don't worry, folks. We know where at least 2.8 billion of that went. David?
That would be the money that Warner Brothers Discovery paid Netflix for not actually selling to Netflix. So 2.9 billion in losses, 2.8 billion of it going to Netflix. I joked the other day that this feels like a poor tax where the poor company has to pay the rich company billions and billions of dollars. None of this was smart, and that's kind of how we'll remember David Zaslav's regime. Everything he did was very focused on boosting his wallet, not a company.
Paramount Skydance, on the other hand, beat analyst expectations.
It's a little bit like over at Warner Brothers Discovery, where right now both of these companies are in a holding pattern until the merger happens. There's not going to be anything big going on. They're not going to make any big swings beyond, of course, the fact that they're going to merge, which is the biggest of swings. But yes, Paramount Skydance beat analyst expectations, and yet it wasn't a big deal for most analysts as the stock price went down a little bit, which seems to be a recurring pattern oftentimes, but really nothing much to report here. This is all very much a holding pattern until the merger is completed, or as I continue to tell people and no one believes me, the merger is shut down.
The other thing I want to throw in here is that Wall Street kind of took this as a collective shrugging of the shoulders. We just indicated the fact that we don't necessarily think Wall Street ever does the right thing when earnings reports are in. However, there was cause for concern here, despite the fact that it did make the earnings beat. The reality is that Paramount Plus only grew 700,000 subscribers during the quarter, which is barely over 200,000 a month. That is not the kind of growth the company needs, and it certainly seems that Paramount Plus has plateaued, and that is why they're trying to add new content. We've said all along, Paramount needs this. Whether or not they get it remains to be seen, but this is a desperate move by a company that has looked around and said, you know what, we don't have enough. And Paramount will tell you, well, we increased 700,000 subscribers despite the fact we'd raised prices, which sounds smart and sounds like good news until you realize that they also did a 99 cents a month promotion, which they intentionally did because they saw that their subscriber numbers weren't good. And so they did that at the last minute to actually juice their numbers. This is 700,000 subscribers in 3 months, most of them coming at the end for 99 cents, which means they're going to bring down the average revenue per user. But that sort of information doesn't get posted anymore because streaming services figured out it makes them look bad.
I'm curious if Paramount Plus is more susceptible to spikes, because one of the key reasons to get it, at least in the fall for now, is football. And I certainly in the past have, at the end of the football season, let my Paramount Plus subscription expire. So I do wonder if then they had to push like a discounted rate to boost or keep some people for this quarter, just so the numbers look good.
I think it's a great question. And the thing about the 99-cent subscription offer is that we won't really feel the financial impact of that until next quarter. So that's when I'm paying particular attention to Paramount. And I don't think it's a coincidence that Paramount is saying they want to close by July. That's a two-pronged reason they want to do it. The first is they need to rush this through before too many people start sniffing around because they know it's trash. And the second reason is they need to get this because they do not want their year-over-year comparisons to keep happening. They want to have Warner Brothers Discovery in there. Otherwise, people are going to look at their financials and go, whoa, this isn't good.
Hey, Tim.
Yes, Kim.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, that we have another box office story this week.
Mortal Kombat!
2, actually, not just Mortal Kombat.
Correct.
2. So now we're on the sequel to the reboot, which I totally forgot actually happened.
It was a thing.
Yeah. How's $17 million on Friday?
Shocking.
Yeah, right? I was like, wait, huh? Okay, sure. 5 million of that on Thursday previews, but yeah, 35 million or so for the weekend. Okay, nothing to sneeze at given the state of box office. The big blockbusters have delivered, but sure, mid-tier stuff. Okay, I would imagine this would do probably pretty well overseas. Let's see. When was Mortal Kombat? Mortal Kombat was 2021. Wow, okay.
Yeah, it's a pandemic film, so its international is going to be shaky that time.
Yeah, it was actually sub 100 million worldwide. worldwide.
Yeah, because international box office wasn't really a thing
Correct, yeah.
at that point. So we can't really do apples to apples. But I will say that the first time I saw the trailer, I expected something like this because really all Mortal Kombat fans need to hear is Scorpion saying, "Get over here." And the trailer had that, and I knew it was money.
At least they figured out the formula.
That's right.
Yeah, so I mean, you know what? I'll take it as a win. To recap last weekend, The Devil Wears Prada 2, 76.7 million. Michael is now over 200 million domestically. Last weekend, the Super Mario Galaxy movie crossed 400 million worldwide. Project Hail Mary over 300 million worldwide. So good news there. I will say that when I saw Project Hail Mary and had a bunch of trailers, the one that actually had me most excited saying, what is this? I need to see this, was The Sheep Detectives, which unfortunately is fifth place on Friday with $4 million.
I don't get this movie. I've seen a lot of people saying, oh, wow, that's adorable. That's a great premise. And to me, this just looked not so entertaining.
Well, it is 93% fresh. So
Yeah.
it is very well reviewed. I wonder if this is the type of thing that's just going to explode on streaming in a few months after a disappointing box office. It was actually, there's a Billie Eilish concert film that was just ahead of it on Friday. So that's,
Oh, wow.
yeah, that one, 4.5 million for fourth, hit me hard and soft the tour. But I'll still take this weekend as a win. I keep saying it. We had a lot of question marks on the box office schedule this year, but we're in May and we're doing all right. So hopefully the momentum can continue through, when are we getting Mandalorian and Baby Yoda?
May 22nd.
That's
Yep.
Okay. Oh, it's not the weekend before Memorial Day.
It is.
Okay,
No,
so
it is Memorial Day weekend. Memorial
Okay.
Day's early this year.
Oh, okay.
So it's the 25th, last Monday of the month.
Gotcha. So, okay. So we have a couple weeks before that one, but yeah, I'll take the box office this year after what was mostly a disappointing 2025.
Yeah. Well, how about the ratings? How are they looking?
Oh, not so much, but okay. We have the Nielsen streaming ratings for Monday, April 6th to Sunday, April 12th, 2026. And your top original series is, of course, The Pit, 1.1 billion minutes for its 29 episodes, one more episode to go in its second season. So it should be on top again next week. Again, pretty impressive numbers for an HBO Max series. And of course, we're going to have a season 3. Returning in second, they're back. The Boys are back on the chart. 899 million minutes, 35 episodes. The first two episodes of the fifth and allegedly final season arrived on April 8th. So, wow, that was enough to get it back on top. It will be weekly from here through towards the end of May. May 20th will be the final episode of its fifth season. That was enough to launch it back into second. The top two original shows not on Netflix. Cool. Unfortunately, Netflix's top show this week is Trust Me, The False Prophet. 850 million minutes for the 4-episode docuseries that we did mention on What's New, and I didn't really care to learn more about it. Love on the Spectrum US, that returned last week, 780 million minutes and 427 total episodes. Invincible, also from Prime Video, 566 million minutes, 31 episodes. Virgin River, always a mainstay when it drops a new season, 451 million minutes, 74 episodes from Netflix. But something new in seventh, Big Mistakes, 420 million minutes for 8 episodes from Netflix. This was a comedy series starring Dan Levy that we talked about on What's New that week. Tyler Perry's Beauty in Black from Netflix is 8th, 407 million minutes, 32 episodes. Exo Kitty, that also returned last week, 393 million minutes, 26 episodes, and it's 3 seasons. And Originals wraps up with an Apple TV show returning to the list, Shrinking in 10th, 369 million minutes for 33 episodes. The finale arrived on April 8th, the 3rd season, so that's why it came back. Movies is pretty stupid this week. It is led by Thrash, 687 million minutes. Not a skateboarding movie, Roll. No. This one's about, I read the concept of it because we did talk about it, but again, it's so generically titled, it just bounced right off me when it returned. It's about sharks that arrive in a town after a hurricane brings flooding, and it reminded me of that movie about sharks in Paris. I was like, wait, they kind of ripped that off. This arrived on April 10th, so sure, whatever. In second, Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. Yes, that movie from 2017. Hey, I guess at least it's a good movie. 437 million minutes. Coming to Netflix from wherever the heck it was on April 5th. I'm sure it's been there before and then disappeared, but now it's back, so it's new and you watched it. Third was the top movie last week, Crime 101 from Prime Video, 394 million minutes, so we're already in third and we're not great numbers. Disney Plus's Utopia 2 is fourth, 311 million minutes, and Anaconda, 5th from Netflix, 234 million minutes. The Truth and Tragedy of Mariah Wilson, a Netflix true crime thing, 230 million minutes. That was here last week. New in quotes in 7th, Beast, 228 million minutes from Netflix. This is a 2022 movie starring Idris Elba.
Okay, I just looked up the poster and now I connected the dots. Yes, it's a family and they're on safari, I think, and they have to fight off a lion.
Yep, pretty much.
Oh, boy.
That's what I got from the Wikipedia description as well. Released in theaters in August. Oh, it was a Universal release, so it was probably on Peacock for years. But as of April 7th, it's on Netflix. Mercy from Prime Video, 221 million minutes. In ninth, The Fifth Element. Yep, really. I don't have a date for this one. 205 million minutes. Really? The Fifth Element? Come on.
At least it's a good movie. You should always be happy when good movies are on the list.
I will refrain from commenting. And in 10th, K-pop Demon Hunters, though all is right with the world, 199 million minutes. So just under the 200 million mark.
All was right in the world when The Fifth Element was on there. What are you talking about?
Yeah, the bottom 6 movies here all range between roughly 200 and 230 million minutes.
Yeah.
There's got to be dozens of movies in that range on Netflix.
Oh, man, all the time, yeah. Sometimes I wish we had more data than the top 10. It would just be laughable. Acquired is 10 shows we have seen before, led by Bluey, 873 million minutes for its 154 episodes. Nothing too out of the ordinary this week. Amusingly, yes, after appearing last week, Mike and Molly dropped off the chart after just 1 week. Survivor is back, though, in 7th, 579 million minutes for its 753 episodes. Ye gods. Credited to Hulu, Paramount Plus, and Pluto TV. Yeah, just all the usual mainstays: Grey's Anatomy, Big Bang Theory, SpongeBob, Family Guy, Bob's Burgers, The Rookie, Criminal Minds, Law & Order SVU. So yeah, not an exciting week. I guess next week we do have the finale of The Pit to look forward to, so I'm curious to see how high that one goes. And The Boys actually should do pretty well over the next month as well, as it adds episodes, and then probably some other stuff we're forgetting. But yeah, ratings, not so much fun right now.
All right. Thank you, Tim. As always, we close out with what's been keeping us busy over the last week. And David and I actually watched quite a few things, but I'm just going to talk about one today. I'll save some of the rest for later. And that is Ready or Not 2, Here I Come. And we've actually kind of kept it playing in the meantime, because I'm sure David will agree that we really enjoyed this. It basically picks up the moment the first film leaves off. No spoilers there. And it is a very wild ride from there, and just a lot of gory fun. I really enjoyed both Samara Weaving and her new co-star, played by Katherine Newton. Also, Elijah Wood is in the film. There's a lot of faces you'll recognize, but just know it's a whole lot of fun. If you enjoyed the first film, you will enjoy this one just as much. I warmly recommend it. What do you think, David?
I could gush and gush. Kim's not joking around. We've probably played it front to back 25 times already. We were in love with it from the first 5 minutes on, because the intro scene is perfect. And then there are so many highlights throughout the film. The people who do Happy Death Day and the people who do Ready or Not just seem to be my sense of humor and the way I want horror to be. I don't like Gorno. I don't like just slasher for slasher. I want very funny moments. And there is a scene that is a fight on the dance floor that just had me in absolute stitches. And that is not the only thing. This was 10 out of 10, and it is my go-to film right now. I'm in love with it.
All right, Raul, what's been keeping you busy?
I wrapped up season 2 of Daredevil Born Again this week on Disney Plus. And while I do appreciate the very mature nature of this Marvel series on Disney Plus, there's a lot of swearing in it, and there's copious amounts of violence. So that's always fun. The suspension of disbelief that this required started to become more and more tenuous. I liked season 1 of Born Again a lot, and I feel a lot of that now in retrospect probably had to do with the fact that they basically had to scrap the scripts for season 1 and start all over again. I think season 2 could have benefited from another pass. There's just a lot of tenuous logic throughout. There's silly courtroom scenes that honestly make no sense, but sure, there's a lot of fighting and a lot of shooting and a lot of bad guys getting beaten up, and that was fun. And unlike, as I mentioned last week, the finale to Scrubs, which just kind of didn't really end, this one definitely ended. But I appreciate that there will be a season 3, and I'm looking forward to that, because there were some hints of things to come with Daredevil if they chose to move ahead with another season, and I guess that's going to materialize.
And Tim, what's been keeping you busy?
So after desperately looking for something new to play, we got a new 2-Point Museum DLC this week. Yay. So after the kind of weird fantasy one and then the loads of fun animal one, this one is focused on art. It is called Artifacts, and it is, more of the same, just new mechanics, new formulas. Your experts, rather than sending them out, most of them are able to create their own art, so you can assign them a medium and a theme, and then they'll make a painting or a sculpture, and then you can plop it in the museum, and the quality will improve over time, and yada yada yada. But it's just more fun to just create and design these things. It is, of course, goofy and whimsical. This was one of my favorite games of 2025, so I was super happy that we got more DLC, and I believe they're going to do at least one more. My only nitpick about it is there aren't quite enough to dedicate an entire museum to a theme. You always have to branch into other ones, so it's weird to have your art museum and then you have to go out and get some dinosaur bones too, just because you need to vary it up a bit rather than have just the same sculptures or artworks or whatever. But that's a minor nitpick. It is loads of fun. It is the best of the 2-Point games so far. Only the DLC is marked down as intro price right now, but when the whole thing goes on sale at some point, just pick it all up. You can't go wrong, and I will hopefully be spending the rest of my weekend playing this.
All right. Thank you for listening to Streaming Into the Void. Please consider subscribing wherever you listen to podcasts, and we welcome your feedback. Remember that we're on social media at Streaming Void and online at streamingvoid.com. If you like what you're hearing, please consider becoming a supporter on Patreon at patreon.com/streamingvoid. Be sure to watch for us again next week.